There's a delay. Give it a second. I can hear people coming through here.
This button, okay.
Those need to be turned on.
That's on.
Hello, thank you for coming. We're about to get started. I want to tell you two things. One, today a new record has been set for turnout at a library board meeting. Thank you for your civic engagement. Second thing is the fire capacity for this room is 150 people, which by the count that we have is basically everyone that's in.
Yes, no more people can come in. We are at maximum capacity. So those that are trying to come in now, you need to go ahead and shift out and then move away from the door. Because if we were needing to exit for any reason, there's no way for people to get out and safely.
So this is going to be live streamed, so you can do that. Go to youtube.com, put in Uintah County Commission, and there'll be a link. Is Charlie around from IT?
There. I mean, if you put in Uintah County Library Board Meeting, it should come up on YouTube.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. For those wondering how to get on the YouTube, there's already some folks standing outside that are on the thing, so you can talk to them and figure out how they got there.
like hold it,
Light will come on.
Yeah, when the
and then
light's
when you're
on.
done, you push.
So I think your mic's on, right?
Shit, don't want that job. All right, thank you again for coming. We have a quorum of library board members. Heather McKee is our library board chair. If you just raise your hand, she'll be conducting the meeting. I kindly ask, I'm Sam Passy, the library director. I would kindly ask that you follow instructions that you may receive, and thank everyone for coming. Ask you, with the number of people in here, to please remain civil and respectful and courteous. And again, thank you for your participation.
Okay, we'd like to welcome everybody here. It's nice to have people to our meetings. We never get anyone, so we're excited to have you here. We have Susan Horrocks on the phone and
Sonia Norton.
Sonia. Okay, one of the board members, and then Sonia is the county commissioner over the library board. So they are on the phone as well. We will start by, yes, we'll start with a prayer, and that will be by Wayne Simper.
Father God, we just thank you for this beautiful county you've given us. We just pray that we can glorify your name in everything we do and say here. Pray for safety and peace today in this meeting. Pray for the board as well, that they can make the decisions that glorify you and all that they do in this county. God, we just pray for love and respect today as we go through this meeting, that we glorify you with everything that we say and do in this meeting. We ask these things in your son's name, Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Okay, and we will have a pledge by Tanya Craven. Okay, I would like each of the board members to introduce themselves so that you guys can know who we are. Well, we'll start with Tegan, but
I'm not a board member. My name is Tegan Troutner, and I'm an attorney with the Uintah County Attorney's Office, and I handle matters for the library and the library board.
I'm Linda Nay. I'm a board member. I have been for 2 or 3 years. I'm a CPA, live in the community, love Vernal.
and I am Heather McKee, and I am the library chair.
I'm Amanda Jenkins. I'm a board member.
And again, we have Sonia Norton by phone and Susan Horrocks by phone, who are also members of the board.
Okay, thank you. We will start with the approval of our last meeting minutes. Do we have any discussion on that? Did you have a chance to read through them? Okay. Do we have a motion to pass the minutes?
I'll make a motion they be accepted as presented.
Okay.
I second.
Okay, we've had a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? All in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, the motion passes. Okay, we will move on to, we are going to table the Avalon building update. The board member that had asked for that to be on the agenda, she is not here today, so we will table that. And the next item will be the Tridel Fire Station. Sam?
Just one moment here. Okay, so for those of you who may not be aware, the fire district was awarded a CIB grant to construct a new fire station and community center out in Tridel. We're very excited for that. I know there's at least a handful of people from the Tridel community that are in here today or out there somewhere. They are slated to break ground shortly. They're demolishing the former community building firehouse that's there. That's underway. And as a library, we are planning on ways that we can extend services to the people that live out in that community, as we've discussed in the past. Originally, we had discussed being more directly involved in the community center side of things, and I think we're backing away from that a little bit and focusing more on library materials, items for checkout, materials delivery, and associated programs and things like that. For those that aren't familiar, the fire station on the screen there, if you can see, this is the, well, let's see, whoops, I'm going the wrong way. This is downtown Tridel on the left side, and you've got the post office, there's a church, and then next to that is the park and the firehouse. On the right side, it's just zoomed in. This is the building that's coming down, and then the new firehouse community center will be built basically overlapping its existing area into the north. I know we're excited for the Tridel community. I believe the Uintah Uintah Special Service District Number 1, formerly composed of parts of those other things I just said, are going to be involved, and so they'll make sure that there are good park bathrooms there, and we're excited to work with partners at the Fire District and the Special Service District 1 to ensure that we can extend library services to residents that live in the outlying areas of the county. Any questions about the Tridel, its status?
When does the demolition of the building start? Do you know?
I know the county awarded the bid out of that. Is Jess Herman in the hallway still? He might be able to answer that question. Okay. So I'll have to get that answer for you shortly, though.
Okay. And we're still in contact trying to get the worked out with the library's part in that.
Yes.
Okay.
So far, there's no formalized agreement yet.
Okay.
We've discussed some ideas at staff level with Jeremy Raymond and myself and some of the folks involved out there. Oh, Jess is right here. We had a question from the board about when the Tridel community building is slated to be demolished. Could you speak to that? This is Jess Herman, the county's facility manager.
Yeah, the building was sold and it'll be taken down, I believe, by the end of May. It should be all done.
Cool.
I don't have the dates,
That's exciting, though.
but yeah, that'll be down so they can start on the fire.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions from the board on that item? Okay. Thank you.
Is Daniel here?
Is Dan Mockley in the room or in the hall?
Is Dan Mockley in the room?
Do you want to table? Okay, do you want to
Okay.
table that one until?
We can come back to that.
Okay, we'll come back to that
if
one.
you're
Okay.
with that. Thank you.
The next one will be the summer reading program.
Okay, also me. Thank you. Okay, so every year the library does a summer reading program. In the past couple of years, we've averaged between 300 and 400 kids that have participated in it. We're really excited this year to explore the theme of All Together Now, and we have a summer full of craft. Thank you. You know, I've got two new puppies, so if you've ever potty trained a puppy, excuse that. Craft activities, reading. We've got some fun reading charts. I don't know how well it shows up here on the screen. This is the picture on the left here is a picture from one of the kindergartens about 45, 50 years ago. It's kind of cute. But the whole point is that we want to encourage people to read. And
If you're going to talk, can you please not be in the room? We're trying to be respectful and have a library board meeting here. Thank you.
Thank you. The summer reading program will kick off June 15th. Kids, of course, can start reading if they want sooner. We will have a series of weekly activities throughout the community. As you might remember last year, we had some of the activities here in the library building, in the plaza outside the library, and then for the first time last year, we took a few activities to Tridel, Jensen, and a few other areas, and we plan on repeating that based on some of the feedback that we've had. For those that might come on we will have our summer reading activities will be Wednesdays in person. So this calendar, it begins with Tuesday, and that's why it ends at Wednesday, with the idea that each week the kids can come in and show us their log or not. But if they show us their log, and they can keep track of that. And insider tip for parents, I got a bunch of kids, and it's hard to keep track of these papers, but if you leave the paper at home and just take a picture of their log before you come in, then you don't have to bring the thing and you won't lose the paper. So that's kind of the insider tip there. But we're really excited. We have a new children's librarian that started. Her name is Jennifer Balch. She's getting her feet under her, learning the ropes of our library. She's comes with a child development background and a degree from escapes me at the moment. But anyway, come and introduce yourselves to her, and if you get a moment, and she'll be presenting some of her plans to the board here later on. But again, that program starts June 15th. We will send word out with the school district, and we're just so thrilled that we've had so much participation in years past, and hope we do again. We've had a number of businesses that have contributed prizes, reading prizes, and I apologize, I failed to bring that list, but I will we'll make sure that we get that out and acknowledge our those that have donated prizes to help support the kids in their reading.
So last year, when they signed up, you gave them a book. Is that the same thing this year, or are you changing that this year?
You know, that's a really good question. Actually, I know the answer to this. The Rotary Club has graciously raised funds for and assembled many hundred books to give away to children. And so for the first week, which I think is June 15th. Anyway, don't ask me dates today. But the Rotary Club is going to be giving out books to the kids that sign up for the reading program, and for any kids that sign up for a library card for the first time.
Just during that time?
They'll have a specific event for that. And then if they do it like they've done before, if there's a stock of books left over, we'll give those out as people sign up. And we've got the State Library Division kind of on backup for that. We're still finalizing details, but they expressed an interest in helping out with any book giveaways we might do.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay, the next one will be the Kids Canal documentary update and screening of short history film.
Daniel show up. All right. Okay, just want to make sure. Whoops. Okay, now this is the moment of truth. So someone in the outside YouTube world will have to let me know if this works. It's not working well? Oh, okay. Well, we're not going to screen this then. But I'm going to tell you about it because it's awesome. We'll do visual aid B. So some of you who work in government circles might be familiar with binders that look like this. These are the Ashley Central Irrigation Company and USDA Draft Watershed Environmental Assessment for the Ashley Valley Watershed Flood and Irrigation Project. Oh, okay. Well,
Daniel, you can just sit up here for just a minute until Sam's done with this.
What this is all about is many of you have heard about the piping of the Ashley Central Canal, the other canals, and this meeting is not about that. And I'd refer you to the irrigation company and USDA. But the library and the Heritage Museum have had some specific involvement in our History Center in collecting stories about Kids Canal. And we spun up a website, www.kidscanalstories.org. I encourage you to visit it. If you've got a story from yourself or your kids, memories of Kids Canal, or maybe you're an irrigator who uses some of that water, and you've got a story about how that water that's flown through the Central Canal system that was originally dug by Nelson Berkeley in the 1890s has influenced generations of your family. We want to collect those stories in our History Center and in our museum. And so we've collaborated. We have a 4-minute documentary out now based on kind of the first round of this, but we're doing another push for people to contribute their stories to the Kids Canal Stories Archive. Again, that's www.kidscanalstories.org, or you can stop in the Regional History Center or the Heritage Museum for more information on how to get involved with that. And we'll have the link for the documentary on our various websites. There's a teaser for it on the kidscanalstories.org website. And the reason this is on the agenda is because a couple weeks ago, the NRCS, is that what their acronym is? Thank you,
Yeah.
Wayne. Which is the federal agency that's helping coordinate, put up some of the money, they set aside $10,000 for the library and museum to expand the 4-minute Kids Canal documentary and kind of show the whole picture of the canal system in our area, which is, I'm learning, is incredibly important, because if you like to, eat food, water is key to life. We've been in a period of immense drought, and then we've had this crazy wet year, and it's been fascinating. If you want to come and look at these binders, you can. They're in the library, and most of these federal and state agencies are required to put a public binder for inspection at the library, and encourage you to take a look at those things. These ones are chock full of hidden gems and things like that we're actively going through to incorporate in some of the stories that we tell in the History Center and the Heritage Museum. And if you're interested in volunteering to interview people that might know some of that history, I encourage you to contact the History Center or the Heritage Museum. Thank you.
Thank you. That's exciting.
So we'll go back in
So
time
if anybody's
here.
not aware, the library also is over the Regional History Center, so that's part of why we discuss that kind of stuff here as well. Okay, we will turn the time over to Daniel Mockley. He is the Duchesne County Library Director. So do you want him over there or over here?
Wherever you'd like to be, Daniel. If you're showing things, I think you need to be here.
Do we have a public Wi-Fi I can connect to?
Well, he's getting set up. Do you want to have Lana, or are you ready, Daniel?
I think so.
Okay, go for it.
It's just this image slide. Yeah. It's just this one. There we go. My apologies for being late today. I was contacted by the Uintah Basin Standard, who's moving out, and they're like, do you want to save all our old newspapers from 100 years ago? And I said, yes. When? 8 o'clock on Friday. Okay. And so I sincerely apologize for being late. That just needs to go away. There we go. I'm pleased to be here today and that Sam invited me. I am Duchesne County Library Director, and he asked me to come and share a little bit of what, obviously, last week was a big week for us, but also I haven't had the chance to come and talk to you about our consortium. We work together on various things, and want to report a little bit on that today as well. So, Saturday was a big day for Roosevelt Branch. We had our grand opening of the Roosevelt Branch Library, and it's not a secret. Ballard gets some service from Roosevelt, and we're happy to have that too. But this is our new facility. We could not deny that Uintah had a lot of influence on this. People saw things they loved about your library and like, can we have that in Roosevelt when we make the Roosevelt Library? We grew from a 4,300 square foot library to this 16,700 square foot library on one level. It's still not as big as Uintah, but it's as much budget as we could muster. And we're pleased that it's ready. It's been open since January 30, and we still had some things to install. And we grand opened it last week. I really appreciate Sam's attendance at that event, and had 600 people attend on Saturday to celebrate that milestone event for the community. Kind of a look inside a little bit about what we're dealing with there. Sam really gave me a lot of great tips to say, keep it one level, keep it one level, keep it one level. And that's great because we do have a limited budget, and I only have so much staff, and we were not going to increase staff with this new building, so we had to be really savvy about things. But this is the main room of that library and our collections there. We did increase by 50% space, and things are no longer on the floor. And you can kind of see on that left picture, there is a fireplace. Your fireplace was a sticking point with my community. They're like, we want a fireplace, so we got a fake fireplace. Put it in the corner so that the littles wouldn't burn their hands on it running up to it. Mine would do that. We finally have space like this one, like you have in your library for study rooms. We had no tables for anyone to have an interview in the old library. It was shelves and a storytelling space, and that was it. So we have tables with power connections now, and there's this room that seats 4. There's another that seats 10 with a big conference table, and those are available. This is obviously the biggest addition to the library, is this community room that holds 200 people seated at tables and chairs now. And we stole this idea. I see Carrie was here. We stole a lot of ideas from her in Moab. But we have a partition wall that we can set up or take down to allow 2 events to take place at the same time. And sound system and projectors are available in there now. This picture was a little bit ago. And that's been a big deal. Our library events that were library sponsored would bring over, sometimes 300 people. And we were having people in the shelves trying to do their activities, and it was just ridiculous and certainly a fire hazard. And then there's kind of a look at the circ desk there and into the lobby. But big changes, and we hope that, obviously it's a big deal to Roosevelt City, but hopefully it benefits our whole group. So if you're wanting to come and tour, I'm happy to tour you around. I'm happy to tour anybody around. Just let me know. We'd love to show you what we have to offer now in that library. Well, let's talk a little bit about our relationship. So strictly speaking about what we share back and forth in physical items with books and movies, we shared 6,039 items with Uintah County Library in 2022, and they shared 2,640 with us in Duchesne County. It's challenging to quantify that into dollar amounts, right? But if I was to take a guess, when we're not borrowing things from each other in the basin, we have to make a request for an interlibrary loan through the state library from a library somewhere else in the country. At minimum, there's postage involved of mailing it back and forth. And in the average ILLs that my county ran, with having to make those requests, it was around average of $3.60 in postage to mail it back to the library. So we know that cost is at least involved. If we take the mailing back and forth cost only, if I was to do the same amount of items as an ILL, that would have cost us $62,000. But doing the courier service that we have, the courier in fuel and staff time, is about $20,000 a year. And when you do that, you can get a rough estimate about $40,000 was saved between our 2 libraries doing this system. That's just postage cost, right? But what else does sharing our physical collection do? It certainly lowers our need to buy multiple copies of the same item. When Prince Harry's Spare came out 2 months ago, that was the hottest ticket I've seen in a long time. Everyone wanted to know the story of Prince Harry. And if we were on our own in Duchesne City Library or Roosevelt City Library, we'd have to buy 3 or 5 copies of it to meet the demand of patrons. Because we share, we don't all have to buy that many copies, which will only last for maybe a year or 2. Everyone will have read it, and then pretty soon you're either selling off the books or giving them away. Because we share, we have to buy less of that. That stretches the dollar a little further. I can't quantify that. I don't have data on that, but I know it applies. There's a lot of times when We have patrons, especially at Duchesne City, which has much less physical shelf space. And they're like, I'd like this book. And we find that Uintah's either beat us to the punch or Roosevelt has, and we don't have to buy it. We just borrow it from you. That's really wonderful. It saves money that way. And it saves the extra processing, the covers, the materials, the time, the cataloging. All that is costs that add into it as well. It makes our initial purchases go a lot farther. If I buy a book and only 3 of my patrons in Duchesne checked it out, that's not a very good turnover for how much you paid initially to get the book. But if Uintah patrons are wanting to borrow it after my 3 patrons in Duchesne are done with it, all the better. You're making our dollar go farther. And so I'm actually really pleased that we send stuff over to 6,000 items. I don't care. I'm glad it's coming over and that the use of the item is going farther and our money's not just getting flushed down the drain as quickly. Why not get more use out of it? It's already been made. Let's make it go farther. Besides the courier service and whatnot, I think there's other great things. It's wonderful that we have access to all 3 libraries in the basin. That's 60 miles from Duchesne to Vernal. I have patrons that we go visit in Tabiona. We go there once a week, and we bring some items to them. They can drop their item in the drop box in Tabiona, 80 miles from here. And it's going to make its way all the way back home without any worry in the dead of winter. What a wonderful thing for those patrons to benefit from that. Or I was in here with my kids on vacation. We stopped and got Lyle Crocodile DVDs so they wouldn't kill us in the car while we were going to Colorado. And I could borrow it from Uintah on the way out. Thank you for having that on the fly. Less cataloging is required. Because we share the same catalog, when one library makes the title record, not all of us have to do it. We just have to add our item to it. So it saves staff time in that regard of not having to do all that extra cataloging because we're sharing that data with each other. We share a lot of ideas and experience. Sam and I we split the cost to develop the patron interface that we have right now. That was state of the art. And we had to split the cost to develop that. That would have been a lot on one library to pay for by themselves. What a great benefit to all 3 of our libraries since we went in it together. He mentioned the History Center. My volunteers take every idea that Uintah's ever made and say we should do that here with our History Center. What a great, wonderful sharing idea. We have that because you did it first. And once we got going, we were able to move Duchesne's collection out of your possession to ours to make space for more of your own Uintah County items, and you didn't have to be custodian over Duchesne County items anymore. So that's great as well. And then self-checkout. We're behind the times on this one as well, but I did get a grant, and Sam's like, I have pads that we're not using. I'm like, we'll take them if you let us have them, and it saved us thousands. We were able to add that into the new Roosevelt Library. We'll be launching it soon, and it will save their staff and your patrons grief. Right now they have to hand check out anything that comes from our libraries to you. Pretty soon it'll all be the same, and everyone will be happier in that regard. Ballard obviously benefits from the Roosevelt branch, and they certainly come over here too, but we are in closer proximity, and we're really happy to see them there, and they're great. And then we do have, Libby is ebooks and e-audiobooks. The statewide consortium shares between us all, but depending on the license, there are some that are cost per circ. We don't share those. But like books, once we've bought it, it's sitting there. There are many licenses in Libby that we buy, and sometimes will just sit there. Duchesne Library, I don't know what Uintah's was, but Duchesne shared 3,800 checkouts from that we've already purchased with the whole state of Utah. And I'm sure some of that probably came over to Uintah, but it also goes to the little library down in, Salina that can't afford their own ebooks. And we get to share that and stretch our dollar farther and help all the libraries build up. So these are all wonderful collective buying power consortium benefits that we have. And then I don't want to break copyright here, but Lego Batman, high five, Sam's Batman for sure. I'm Robin and have been for the past 7 years. One of the greatest benefits I have.
Which I had a secret identity sometimes.
So I moved out here in 2015 And Sam took me under his wing, and one of the reasons I want to stay in Duchesne County is because of Sam Passy. You have one of the best librarians I've ever met, and I've helped out with ULA, and I've gone to ALA conferences. I don't participate in the national organization, but Sam is a very thoughtful thinker, and he cares deeply about this community. I was thinking about him last night when we were talking about the pandemic and the incident that happened in Fantasy Canyon with the mother and her child. You might remember that. And Sam and I were going through a hard time with our libraries closed, and he was sharing to me, he's like, Dan, I just feel so bad. We should have done something. I knew her. She was in the library. Her kid was in the library. And us being shut down hurt their emotional health. That was one of their releases, was to be in the library and have community with other mothers, other kids. And what could we have done to help prevent that? That was his whole concern and pain. That story really stuck with me. I shared it at ULA during my president keynote because it stuck with the theme of a library is a heart of the community, and there's a lot of benefits that come from that. He cares about people. He knows that there's rules that we have to follow, but he cares about this, and he's taught me a lot. So I benefit as a director from your director and from being in your library. There's a wonderful thing going here, and I just wanted to share that all with you. Thank you for your time today.
Hey, Daniel, can you go back to that last slide? I wanted to look at so it surprises me that Uintah County borrowed so much more. I mean, I know you have less, patrons, but still,
I'm not surprised.
we have a bigger library and that we're borrowing way more than you.
So Duchesne, well, yeah, I'll tell you why. So Duchesne has a population of 2,000. Roosevelt does double whatever Duchesne does, and Vernal doubles or triples whatever Roosevelt does. It just exponentially goes higher. You have far more patrons. You have far more demand. We send more over.
But we have more books. It's just
That's true, and it
surprising
comes
to me.
back the other way. I know that sounds bad. It's not. That's why that lower need to buy multiple copies. There are many things. I teach my staff, I'm like, see if Uintah's got it first, right? And if the wait's not long, because why do we all need to buy it?
Yeah.
They know that. And so there's a lot that we're not buying because you've already bought it. But vice versa, once something's new sat on my shelf for 3 weeks and nobody's taking it and Uintah's waiting, send it on. My patrons have passed on it. Let them have it. I'm not surprised at all that the number's higher. That's natural.
It's just an interesting number. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you for your time.
Okay. Our next item is the Center for Stories Update Museum History Center with Lana.
Lana, yep.
Thank you, Daniel.
Hi, Lana Fulbright with Uintah County Heritage Museum. I don't know why they have me following the awesome librarians that we have with the museum curator. But I will say, working with the library is awesome. We feel like as the museum, we are part of the community that shares the history of our awesome community. And part of that sharing of history comes from you folks. If you do not start sharing your histories now, 50 years from now, our museum will have nothing to share because we all have instant photographs now. Nobody prints anything off. There's no negatives. Start getting your pictures out there. Start getting them somewheres because without Mr. Thorne's collection, we would be pretty boring in our museum and we wouldn't have that history. As Sam said, we are excited to work. We always work with the summer reading program. We have our Museum Kids program, which we only have a few weeks left, but it will start again in the fall. It's for our preschoolers. Our museum program teaches preschoolers, kindergartner age kids how to act in a museum, museum manners, why it's important for these rules in a museum. And we do different activities museum related with them. Also, as Sam said, we are working on an exhibit, not just about the Kids Canal, but the whole canal project. And the controversy at the beginning of the canal and where it had to go and all that kind of stuff, because there's pros and cons to everything that goes on. So we're telling the whole story and bringing it even to today, like where it's at today. So we're excited to work on that. I'm also excited. We are hosting the Utah Museum Association here again. They love Vernal. They love coming here. This is the only time they've repeated a place to hold the convention. So we're excited about that. We have other groups coming in. If you have a business thing, conference or anything, you want to have us host a reception at the museum or anything, just let us know. We'll stay open after hours. We like to share the. Our extended hours are starting after Memorial Day. We will be open till 7 o'clock Monday through Thursday. We are open most holidays now. Just keep that in mind. That was our biggest thing. We weren't open Memorial Day or 4th of July or anything like that. So we are there now, thanks to the commissioners giving us another person that can run that. Also, check our websites out. We are working on updating our websites for the museum and the Regional History Center. Let us know any activities going on. We're hosting other groups, and Center for Stories. We need those Canal stories. We're trying to put a part of it together for the exhibit also, that people can sit and read the stories from you guys. And so not just Kids Canal, just the whole canal. Like there's stories about the whole canal, but Kids Canal is kind of our focus. Come in, any questions at all, just let us know. We enjoy serving the community. We want to see more of your faces in the museum. I think you'll be surprised if you haven't been in for a while. If you have not come in and see the cataract boat and the documentary done on the Reynolds cataract boats, you need to come and see that. It's an awesome history, and people from all over are coming just for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so our next section is the public comment. I do have a couple things before we start with that. This is a recorded public meeting, so if you can please step up to the mic so that your voice can, this is the right mic. Is that correct, or is it, it's that one? Okay. Okay, so if you can please step up to the mic so that your comment can be recorded. Public comment is a time for public comment and not public debate. The library board will listen to your comments and take them into consideration. However, the library board will not be responding to comments or answering any questions. We have set aside 30 minutes. It looks like we might have 35. It looks like if that's right, we have 35 minutes for this section of the meeting. We will hold all comments to 3 minutes. I'll set it, well, you might have to set a timer. I have Susan on my phone. So if you'll set a timer for 3 minutes for each comment. And then when you hear that timer go off, please let someone else share their comments. We do appreciate your coming today to give your comments, and we appreciate all public comments. So please feel free to share your comments and come into the library. We want you to be a part of our library, and we're excited for you to be here. And we will start with, do we just one at a time? How is the best way? Okay, so if you would like to share your comments, you may come one at a time.
Okay. And if you would, please let the people come to the mic that need to come to the mic and make some room. Appreciate it.
Okay. My name is Latricia Fall, and I'm the organizer of this event. First of all, I want to thank the library for allowing us this time to speak on the Drag Story Hour. You know, I was originally going to come here and try and change hearts and minds. I was going to share emotional stories about the LGBT youth and adults that have reached out to me expressing the loneliness, fear, and sadness that they're experiencing as they've read and heard the outrage from the community. I was going to share stories of queer adults that have reached out to me from all over the nation that used to live here in the Basin, but had to leave because it was so unbearable that it was going to cost them their lives. But so many of the hearts are too hardened in this room, and I simply don't have that time, so I'm going to share facts. Fact 1. Drag is not a new phenomenon. It's been around since the 1800s, with roots in Utah to the LDS Church. Let's stop pretending this is a new occurrence of a new evil world we live in. You are scaring yourselves with a false narrative. In this community, we already engage in drag, whether that's in the plays that we put on for the community or the tradition of Powerpuff Games by the youth. Fact 2, this event is by RSVP only. People who do not want their children to attend will not be read to. I have heard the argument that these children will go to school and talk with other children. A, this event is held in the summer. They're not going to school. And B, they're already talking about it. You know why? Because they go to school with children who have LGBTQ
Please
parents.
be respectful of those speaking.
They go to school with children who have LGBTQ parents, families, and friends. They go to school with LGBTQ children, faculty, and staff. And guess what? Your children are on social media. I've seen it. So trust me, they know. They're just armed with lots of misinformation. Fact 3. Any children in attendance must be accompanied by a parent or legal guardian. Even though we know this means that will exclude LGBTQ youth that are not out to their families, lack support, or their parents are unable to attend. Any adult attending without children are required to stay at the back of the room where there are not children. Fact 4, we have been transparent about the books and activities occurring since the beginning. I could have easily advertised it as the costume story hour, a meeting, or anything else, but I chose not to. Fact 5, I have tried to be respectful of other people's beliefs since the beginning. I only posted this event on my private page and scheduled a closed conference room when I could have held it in the fireplace area for all to see. The only reason anyone outside of my page knows about it is because the Judge Judy's disguised as the morality police took screenshots of my post and shared it on their personal pages. Fact 6, there is zero data that supports drag queens or the LGBT community are at large at increased risk for sexually abusing children. Thank you.
So I didn't have the mental or emotional energy to prepare anything, so I'll just talk about facts based on my 10 years as a sexual assault advocate. I've taken over 5,000 calls for people who have experienced sexual assault, and there's very specific behaviors and dynamics involved in sexual abuse and sexual assault. That's a fact, that is information. Utah has double the national average for child sexual abuse in the country. And that has nothing to do with drag folks or queer folks.
How do you know that?
Please don't interrupt.
This is information based on my 10 years as a sexual assault advocate, taking more than 5,000 calls, more than 5,000 stories, 5,000 heartbreaking stories. And through my conclusions that I've drawn and also the information that can be found on lots of sexual assault websites. What's the Utah one called? UCASA. That has a lot of facts and information that comes directly from survivors and from advocates who have done the very, very hard work. The very, very hard work of listening to these stories about specifically purity culture and other dynamics of power and control. Dynamics of power and control are actually what weigh heavy on a lot of our communities. And this actually has a lot to do with the assumptions that people make about people in drag and sexual assault. The dynamics of power and control.
I would like you guys to look at this sign. My name's Autumn Hancock. I want to introduce you to Tara Lipsinki, an adult entertainer. This last photo on here is a screenshot from his YouTube channel with his country rendition of a song called WAP. If you don't know what WAP stands for, please look it up, but be warned, you could lose your job if you use a work computer. To say the least, the lyrics are suggestive and vulgar and obscene. Let me pause for a second and go to the library guidelines number 8. It states that the event must meet accepted community standards with regard to subject matter. The subject matter of Tara Lipsinki's social media is lewd, vulgar, and obscene. And this is how he represents himself, and this is publicly accessible on YouTube for anyone to see. This is the person, the adult entertainer that you're allowing to read and perform for our children. This is not a matter of freedom of speech. This is a matter of age-appropriate content. The content that he puts out... Thank you. The content that he puts out, on social media is a representation of who he is and what he stands for, and it's not family friendly. After seeing him perform at the Story Hour, it's highly likely that the children would look him up on social media. All performers say, look me up, like me on social media. And I'm sure the kids will do that, and this is what they'll see. And these are mild compared to some of the photos. Have any of you read the books that he plans to read to our children? I've read one of them, and it's
Please
very
be respectful of their time. Everyone needs to have a chance to speak.
I've read one of them, and in a very clever and deceiving way, it discusses gender and sexual fluidity. You don't have to be blue or pink, you can be purple. Would you want a stranger discussing that type of subject matter with your children? And furthermore, have any of you watched the performance he plans to perform for our kids? If not, you have an obligation to do so before allowing this event to be conducted on public property in the presence of minors. This is the exact reason that you as a library board have an obligation to view the content before it takes place, to determine if it's age appropriate and in conformance with community standards, which need to be defined. I propose that we put this event on hold until we can define exactly what our community standards are and if this event meets them, because I don't believe it does. While this event is on hold, thank you. While this event is on hold, please reach out to this individual and request them to submit a video of exactly what their performance will entail, what costumes will be worn, and what dance moves are involved. Please do your responsibility as a board to protect the innocence of our children at a public library. It's my belief that a grown man, an adult entertainer dressed as a woman, lip syncing to Disney songs, is nothing more than a groomer parading his kink and sexual fetish to vulnerable children. Protect our children. Don't let fear stop you from doing what is right. The right thing to do is to postpone this event until proper vetting takes place. If you stay silent and fail to rock the boat in this war between good and evil, your life may be easier, but your children's won't.
That was time. Thank you.
Thank you.
I wholeheartedly agree with what that woman just said. I love the library. Anyone that works there, like Sam, sees me all the time. My taxes pay for it. I should have a say in what happens there. Okay, I don't have anything against gay people. I have a gender. I have a sexual identity. I don't seem to push it on people like you want to push it on me. I don't hate you. But having said that, I'm a Christian, and God tells me that gay lifestyle is sinful. It's wrong. And I consider a drag story time for kids child abuse. And I'm shocked that our library would have anything to do with that. And I will fight it with every bit of my strength that it doesn't happen in Vernon. I mean, this is my library, my town. We open with prayer. We say, let's glorify God in the things we do. How can the board and Sam allow something like this to happen? Do you consider this glorifying? I mean, why do they need to talk to kids? This is recruitment. It's not accept our lifestyle. This is let's get more. I have a small circle of friends. I already have 2 that have had their kids come up to them and say, well, I think I'm gay. Is that what we want? We want all our kids to turn gay?
If we can't keep the comments down, we will have to shut down the public comment section. So please hold your comments until it's your turn at the mic.
Personally, I would rather the library be shut down than used for this sort of thing. I love the library, but if we're going to use it for this, lock the doors and let's not have it. It's supposed to be a place where kids can come and learn good things, not things like this.
Thank you.
Sure.
I just want to say, thank you guys, because I know you guys have been dealing with a lot of harassment and stuff from people. And I want to say that we are your youth. We are a whole part of your youth that you guys don't see and only care about when it benefits you. I have people that I went to school with that have been almost ran over by cars. I have a little sister that we had to pull out of school because your kids threatened her. We just want a place to exist. We don't even want to intermingle with you. We don't want to make you uncomfortable. We just want to know that we can use our public spaces too, and we can meet people where we feel safe, because I never, ever feel safe. I've never felt safe in school. I've never felt safe at my job. I don't feel it. And I'm lucky enough that I can hide, but I'm here, and we're all here, and we just want to exist. We just want to exist. And people that you love, that you may not know about, they want to exist too. And you guys are so worried about us being sinners and us going to hell, you don't even realize that you've made it literally hell on earth to be here.
I guess I'd like to comment that I don't know if this is really a thing about, gay people's rights or anything like that. This is about a story time reading with a drag queen for children in our Uintah County Library. So to each their own. What people want to do in their own room in their house, that's on you. I find it an interesting thing, though, when it comes to little children. It's a little different for me, I guess. If I come over and I say, I identify as, let's say, Sheriff Labram, right? Am I Sheriff Labram? No, I'm not Sheriff Labram. And I make a whole outfit that's fake and all this stuff and go arrest somebody and make them pay a fine on my own court time. That is impersonating an officer. If I go out and do the same thing as a soldier, that is an impersonating of a soldier. So, therefore, if I go out and make myself a woman and dance in front of little kids and all that, I'm impersonating a woman or a man or vice versa. It is false advertisement in the greatest degree. Whether your sexual preference is whatever, that's one thing. But bringing this to little children, confusing them, is a real issue because it just confuses more. And to the other fact that I guess wanted to point out, if you look at the LGBTQ, I don't know all the acronyms, sorry, the highest suicide rate in all demographics. Why would we want to expand that by just sheer influence on children? Yeah, I mean, you can laugh, that's fine. It doesn't make no sense. But when you program, so like, okay, Al-Qaeda and Boko Haram, no, I'm just saying, what they do is they get little children at young ages and they take and they program them. It's a predictive programming.
Please hold your comments until you're at the mic.
It can happen in all things, but this is the same thing. You're doing it with little children in a cross-dressing setting and trying to get them to accept it and make it okay. And you're pushing it that's something that they may not want, but you're giving it to them anyway because they're little children. They don't really know what they want. It's different with a young girl that was just this age here, right? It's totally different. She's old enough to make her own decisions. But little children aren't. So you're pushing that on them children. And you have now gave them that influence, and you could subject them to more confusion and more suicide rates. That's just part of my opinion. But I'll be done. Thank you.
Alrighty, I'll try to be quick. Hello everyone, my name is Hannah Haynes. I am 21 years old and I've grown up in Vernal, Utah. With the colorful, brilliant people that surround me, I have built a community. With the colorful, brilliant people that surround me, I have found a home. I believe that something we can all agree on is that Utah as a whole has an emphasis on community. We value our families, we value our friendships, and we value our community. What? Excuse me, sir, I was respectful. Please be respectful. This is my community. These are my people, and this is the case that I am willing to fight for. It may look different from your community, but that does not mean it doesn't deserve respect. We exist, we love, and we are tired of hiding. I love my neighbors, all of you. I recognize some faces, and I love you. Love means that though you may not understand somebody's perspective, you still try, or at the very least, you don't take away their right. I have given chances my entire life. I've invested time into church activities just to learn about the people I care about. I have always offered the benefit of the doubt, but rarely has that been offered to people like me and people like us. You guys claim to have done your thorough research on Tara and that you disagree with what you have found. That is your right, and specifically your parental right. It is our right and our parental right to determine what values we wish to instill in our children and our youth. Miss Lipsinski's values may
Hold your comments.
Miss Lipsinski's values may differ from yours, but you do not have the right to claim those values are wrong. As my wonderful friend Latricia Hall has stated, this is a private RSVP event, and it is not for you. Hatred spawns from fear, and I am not afraid of you, which is why I'm up here, for the people that may have been more heavily impacted by the negativity and brutality of the words shared here today. I'm up here speaking for you and your represented.
Hi, I'm Jason Johnston. I'm the pastor of First Baptist Church of Vernal. And I just want to thank the library board for allowing us to speak today. Oh, it's a stressful day for you all, I'm sure. The Word of God, the Bible, Proverbs chapter 14 says, righteousness exalts a nation, but sin is a reproach to any people. Question is, what is sin? I see this regularly if you follow these kind of things. Just recently saw another instance, a 31-year-old drag queen who had been involved in drag story hours was arrested for child abuse. This is a regular occurrence. There is a sin of corrupting children happening in our culture in a new way. These kind of events that the library is about to host, it promotes confusion among our most fragile group of people in our community, children. I saw just yesterday a peer-reviewed journal article that studied 256 parents of rapid onset gender dysphoric teens, and they found that 47% of those teens experienced significant mental decline after they began to transition. These kind of events support and communicate that's a good thing, and I don't think that we believe it's a good thing. Jesus warned us in Luke chapter 17, verse 2, it would be better for anyone who causes a child to sin if a millstone were hung around his neck and he were cast into the sea than that he should cause one of these little ones to sin. And library board, you don't want to be responsible for that kind of thing when you could stop it. There is a sin, I think, that's taking place here of overlooking the danger that's already been presented by some of the other speakers. There are conditions of use. Another speaker had mentioned this. Number 8 in the conditions of use for the library meeting room policy, meet accepted community standards with regard to subject matter. And you obviously have standards. If somebody came in there, say a teacher in the community came in there and wanted to fulfill some sexual fetish in front of their students, you wouldn't allow it. You'd say, no, we don't allow that. But why are you allowing this? This is very similar. And so you do have standards, and I would encourage you to apply those standards, repent of the step you've already taken of allowing this, and retract it and say, look, we made a mistake. This does not follow our policy guidelines. And I'd just say, as a pastor, obviously you want to be thinking about your eternal welfare, and you want to be following Christ as well. And so I just want to put that out there. We want to do this for the sake of protecting our children. We want the young men in our community to grow up to be godly adult men, and the young women in our community to grow up to be godly young women. Thank you.
Did someone want to go before me?
Hello, friends. So I just want to start off by saying, I came here with the more LGBT crowd, but I'm not LGBT. I'm straight. I'm hetero, not trans, nothing. I'm as normal comes. My thing is, this really comes down to, we're America. We're based on liberty and all that, freedom for all, not for who's okay enough. In my grandma's lifetime, this was a sundown town. And I guarantee you they said very similar things about other races back then. I'm sorry. but this is happening. You know, people have been. Julius Caesar was bisexual. Gay is nothing new. Drag is nothing new. Yeah, best empire in the world. Good point. Anywho, at the end of the day, if you don't like it, don't send your kids to it. You shouldn't be controlling what other people want to send their kids to do. It's not as harmful as you make it out to be. Everyone claims to do so much research. The guy with the sunglasses up here talking about the highest suicide demographic is homosexual. I Googled it in line. It's 75 and up older people. It's not homosexual, it's old people. People aren't doing their research. You guys are making assumptions. And you know what? If you do your research and you disagree with it, cool. I don't care if you don't support it. You don't need to. But the thing is have an informed opinion before you go all the way out to something this extreme. One last thing I want to say is, you know, on either side of the spectrum, whether you're progressive or conservative, whatever, the loudest people are the most extreme. Anyone who is anywhere in the middle, just do your research and make your own informed decision. That is all that it requires. I don't care if you love it, hate it, whatever. But allow people to do what they're going to do. This isn't as dangerous as everyone makes it out to be. Everyone's making it out to be so dangerous for the kids, and it's not. Growing up here, you know, I graduated in 2018. I've hung around plenty of your guys' kids. A lot of them know all this stuff regardless, and the harder you try to hide it and make this dangerous, mysterious thing, you're only pushing them further. And if you're so good at parenting, then why are you afraid if your kids talk about it at school? If they hear about it, that means if they're just gone, they're corrupted, whatever. You should be able to have a conversation with your child if they are interested in this and not make it such a gigantic deal. That's all I got to say, but hey, shout out to that Tridel fire station.
Thank you for allowing us to have this opportunity to express some opinion. I come from a unique perspective because I am a mother of a child who has taken her life because of discrimination. And so I do not want people discriminated against. I do not want people persecuted. I sat on the library board for 2 consecutive terms. I love the library. I love this community. I also want to address the community standard. There is a community standard in Vernal. It has already been established. We, years ago, asked for a community bikini contest to be removed from our rodeo, and that was removed. We asked for a book from the education in the junior high to be removed because it was disrespectful to parents. And then Uintah County was part of the law 42 or something, I can't remember, it's too long ago, where we insisted on no public federal funding unless we filtered our internets so that we could protect our children in public libraries. So this community standard is already here. It's already here. It already exists, and so the law is the lowest standard, but a community can set a higher standard, and we have done that. It's been established. Now, having said that, I don't want people persecuted. I don't want someone to end up like our little daughter who felt very discriminated against because of her race. She was Chinese. And so I do believe this community can come together to take care of one another better. I truly believe that. I think we have to do that. I also believe that a child's brain is not established until they're 26 years old. I have a son in psychology, and all of his research shows that. And I have done a lot of research on what causes suicide. It is persecution. It's not old age. It's persecution. The highest rates are in the Native American, the African American, the Asian American, and the members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And what do they all have in common? Persecution. So you're not the only folks that have felt persecuted or have a history of that. There has been a lot of that in the history of our country. And I believe most of us are trying to get rid of that.
5 seconds.
It was my time. Oh, 5 seconds. So my appeal to everyone here today is to take care of one another, to not persecute one another, but to put our children ahead of all of us.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Chandy Sainsbury. My family's been here for generations. My husband's family has been here for generations. I heard a comment earlier about our taxes going to pay for the county stuff. Ours have too, just saying. My remarks are addressed to y'all, not that I'm excluding, just they're for you. The question that I have heard repetitively outside of this room is, why are drag queens reading to kids anyway? Trained storytellers have passed stories and myths to our community, to the younger generations, since the very beginning of humanity 50, 60,000 years ago. In Vernal, we have a storytelling festival every March and a thriving theater arts group. The desire to pass on stories and myths, our own lessons in our own lives to future generations, it's literally built into our DNA. Kids like drag queens for the same reason that they like the Muppets or cartoons. It's wildly imaginative, it's bright. That's why they like it. The only people coming to this proposed event are people who want to participate. We're talking about places where children are sitting with their parents. The parents are listening to the whole story. They're watching the whole thing. The program focuses not on gender or sexual themes, but on individuality. It's right there on their website. If there were twerking or grooming happening, there's going to be dozens of adults right there to stop it, unless you don't trust any of the parents or any of the librarians. The Drag Queen Story Hour was invented to help a world where kids can learn to love themselves and celebrate the diversity in their communities. Diversity in our communities is not a message that we need to protect our children from. I've read the books, I approve of the books, and I hope that anybody else who wants their children to read or hear those stories is able to. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Michelle Rowell. I wanted to start by saying I want to be clear. This is about children. I don't care what choices adults make for themselves in terms of gender, sexual orientation, etc. I love you just the way you are, and you should have every protected right to choose for yourself, and I will fight for those rights for you. But the focus here is on the children. I am a part-time kindergarten teacher at White House Academy, and I also homeschool my kids in the morning, so I kind of teach all day. The library is very much an extension of our school for White House Academy. We come here because we do not have a library. For my kids, you guys have generously offered to print curriculum for free for homeschool, and so we use the library as a school. As we already talked about, the library room policy states on number 7 that the events must meet, the event meets the library standards concerning the free expression of ideas or discussion. It doesn't read there are no standards. It says that we have standards. It says it must meet the standards. Under number 8, right underneath number 7, it says the content must meet accepted community standards with regard to the subject matter. It doesn't say there are no community standards. By definition, a standard is something that's established by custom or general consent. And a drag story time for our children is not customary in our community and would not receive general consent. If your policy says the event must follow community standards, it hasn't received that general consent. So what are the library standards? What are the community standards? It would appear our community standards for what is appropriate for a public place of learning for children has already been defined in Ordinance 908040, and I'll share that community standard. It says Public School Ordinance 908040 titled Lewd or lascivious conduct prohibited. And it says, it is unlawful for any person to conduct himself or herself in a lewd, wanton, or lascivious manner in speech or behavior in or about on any school building grounds. And if you're wondering the content of what Tara offers, it's really easy to see it on her Instagram account. It is the exact definition of lewd, lascivious, and wanton. Her Instagram is full of explicit language, sexual connotations, and vulgarity. One of the few songs she's posted, I'm embarrassed to even repeat, but it is entirely based around anal sex with very graphic hand gestures involved. Her performances are just not for children. Tara's content does not meet the community standards for a public area of learning. She has shown that herself with her own actions and her own posts and her own words. We have already decided as a community that lewd and lascivious behavior in speech and conduct in places of learning for children is unlawful. That is our community standard. Tara's profession is lewd and lascivious behavior. Her profession does not meet the conditions of use. The library has a standard, the community has a standard, and this event does not meet that standard.
Thank you. Okay, we have time for one more comment, and we've reserved that time for Sam to give the library's comment on this, and then we will close our meeting.
First of all, thank you. I want to express my appreciation for each of you coming. Thank you for sharing your input, and I want to especially thank you for being civil. More than anything, that speaks to the caliber of citizens across ideologies we have in this community that you've been civil today. Thank you. Please keep that up. On April 15th, our library quietly celebrated our 115th anniversary of service. In deference to the new Roosevelt Library opening, we decided to kind of be low-key, and we'll do a bigger community celebration that aligns with an 115th anniversary. That kind of thing doesn't happen very often. I hope our community has a public library in another 115 years. And I think it will. 115 years ago, a group of residents raised money for buying the first books that became part of the library by putting on a play called the Queen Esther play. They sold tickets, bought 300 books. Those became the library. The library was moved from location to location until in 2012 we opened up in our current location. As we were designing that, many of you came and shared words, things that you felt aspirational about, that you hoped the library would embody. Those words are etched in the rock on the outside of the library. I encourage you, after this meeting is over, to go around and read each of those words and think for a moment and reflect. Those words are the values that this library reflects. I hope it reflects. Now, one of the things that we hoped as we built meeting rooms into the library is that people would make use of those rooms and the other resources, and how you've ever done that. We've had piano recitals, we've had all kinds of things. I'm not going to list them now. But it's been a place where people have been able to connect and share, and people of all ages have come and shared in community with others and those that they want to meet with. Now, the matter of the day, the library has meeting rooms that the members of the public can use. They're all different sorts of members of the public. The library provides these rooms free of charge, according to policies and procedures. They're listed on our website if you'd like to see them, uintahlibrary.org. Follow the About link. We have an online booking system. In order to reserve these rooms, the event must follow the meeting room policy, the standards of conduct, and the meeting room must be available. Now, some, over the past week and today, have expressed concern about people engaging in potentially unlawful conduct. Please take note that the library's administration does not tolerate illicit activity and will actively report such behavior to law enforcement. That said, in accordance with the meeting room policy and the standards of conduct that are found on our website, free speech is available, is a right for people that have reserved these spaces under these conditions. While we can place limits on the time, the manner, and place of free speech through those policies, we do not limit the speech itself unless it violates the meeting room policy, standard of conduct, or the law.
So what is that?
Events that utilize the room reservation process are not sponsored by Uintah County or Uintah County Library. Again, thank you for your participation.
Aye. Thank you.
You still there?